Question of the Week from the Naked Scientists.
Hello and welcome to Question of the Week. I'm James Titko. This week's question comes in from listener Phil. Can you extract DNA from fossils? Thanks, Phil. You've struck upon the fabulous field of ancient DNA. To help me answer your question, we put in a call to Jack Lovegrove at the Natural History Museum.
For the majority of fossils, the answer is no. Traditionally, when we think of fossils, we're thinking of things that are many million years old that have been, in effect, turned to stone. So as the fossil is trapped in the sediment and the sediment is squished down and liquefied, turned to rock, pore waters get into the fossil and replace the original bone or the original, in some cases, feathers or whatever, with different minerals, and the bone is remineralized, in effect, turned into stone. However, we now have been able to extract DNA from some of the most recent fossils. So the oldest DNA that's been extracted directly from a fossil comes from just over 1 million years ago, which was from a mammoth tooth that was found in the permafrost. The actual oldest DNA that's been extracted from anywhere comes not directly from a fossil, but from the sediment itself, and that's from a site in Greenland and about 2 million years old.
That's interesting. So some of that biological material preserves for millions of years. Life on Earth, though, as we know, has been going on for tens and hundreds of millions of years. What's the limiting factor to DNA hanging around for longer, perhaps? Is it, as Paul suggests on our forum, DNA is strung together by means of phosphate ester bonds, which are not the most stable of chemical bonds?
Paul is right. I'd say there are two main limiting factors, and one of them is that DNA is not a very robust molecule compared to some other organic molecules and organic components of living things. So, for example, there have been some controversial studies that have reported finding tiny traces of organic material from much older fossils, so even up to about 190 million years old. But even then, they're not talking about DNA, they're talking about very degraded remnants of collagen and maybe individual amino acids. It's been suggested have been found in eggshells, but not DNA because it does fall apart. And the second reason that we don't find DNA is that most fossils have been remineralized, so all the organic material has been replaced with inorganic minerals, so that would destroy the DNA.
Your speciality at the Natural History Museum is in dinosaurs. Is bad news for those who are helping one day we might uncover dinosaur DNA, or is it?
In terms of non-bird dinosaurs, I would say it's very unlikely we're going to get DNA from their fossils. Sort of last of the non-bird dinosaurs, things like Triceratops, that's about 66 million years ago. And then the stuff I work on, the earliest dinosaurs, you're looking at least 240 million years ago. So it's sort of an order of magnitude out. One quick point that I would make is that I've been assuming we're talking about getting the original DNA of the animal from the fossil, because fossils are in effect contaminated with lots of DNA, not from the original animal. So when you think about how fossils are found, they've usually been sitting either in the soil or actually on the surface for potentially months, potentially even years, at which point they are contaminated with all sorts of bacterial, animal, plant, and then human DNA with the people who dig them up and put them in museums. So, for example, I've worked with a field crew at a site in South Africa, and when scientists aren't there, it's used for grazing goats. So I suspect if you took the fossils from there to a fancy Jurassic Park style cloning lab, you could probably clone a goat from them, but not the original dinosaur.
Thanks so much to Jack Lovegrove for helping us find the answer to that one. Next week, we're answering this transatlantic teaser from listener Elizabeth. I heard that people in the UK can't smell when it rains, but us Americans can. If I went to the United Kingdom, would I be able to smell the rain there? Would someone from the UK be able to smell the rain here? What's going on? Well, we'll have to look into that one for you, Elizabeth. And you can have your say over at nakedscientists.com/forum if you think you know the answer. Be sure to drop us a line also if you have a question of your own. It's chris@thenakedscientists.com. Until then, from me, James Titko, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Question of the Week is part of the Naked Scientists podcast. Look us up online at nakedscientists.com.